So do you want to go through some of your ArtStation pieces, which I know is older, but it's probably a good idea to compare it with your Cyberpunk work and maybe also talk about what you would change or improve now, because now you have a different experience,
Sure,
different
sure.
mindset as well. Uh,
All right, which one do you want me to go for? I'll just show you some.
and then whatever you're comfortable with, really.
All right, I guess I'll start with my first relight.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so here what I would probably do differently is I would choose one focal point instead of two that I have here because I have this really red wall here and it's getting a lot of attention and taking it away from this ticket booth. So like even here it's very prominent. So that's something I would probably change. I would probably just focus more on this and make this a bit more subdued and fix this fog here.
Yeah, it's definitely fun to look at some older pieces and then kind of
Yeah.
think about the placement of the light, how many lights, and kind of passing on the knowledge. Like how would you do it better now?
And also here, I can see there's like this emissive thing here. It doesn't really make sense that the light is around, like glowing around it, because the light source would logically just go forward. So that's something I would also tweak, make it look more natural. Because that's something that I see sometimes is when you have a light and sometimes you like set up the angles in such a way that it looks as if it's like shining through the light source, and it looks very unnatural. So that's something I would not use point lights here anymore. I would just use maybe a spotlight if at all,
It's
and
a
not do that.
common mistake I've seen
Yeah,
in this level
yeah,
that people do. Cool.
yeah. And it's a you just need to like stop for a second and think, and then. But yeah, that's something I would change. Let's go to the next one. For this one, I kept it quite simple. Just sunsetty, sun color. Just one light here, one light there. I would probably tweak the colors of the lamp here. Maybe not make it so white.
Right.
But in overall, I think this scene I wouldn't change much because it's already very bare bones. Maybe I would make the light not so bright.
So how come you chose like how did you end up choosing the color you chose, and how come you just went with the white, yellow type of color palette?
I think I had some reference for this one that I liked. In general, I wanted to go for some, just a warm sunset vibe because most of these relights were very sci-fi that I've seen at the time. So I wanted to do something a little bit more different, where the natural light is more prominent than the artificial light. Uh, I think I chose to have some neutral colors simply because I didn't want this to be the main focal point. Because it's easy to, make it red or maybe something else more cold, and then it would already take too much attention. I think I just wanted to focus more on the mood itself rather than just artificial light. But it's been a long
That's,
time since I've done it, 3 years ago, so I
yeah,
don't quite remember the exact process. But yeah,
that's quite a long time since you did that. That's for sure.
yeah.
Um,
In general, that's the thing with my portfolio. I did all this stuff before I started working, and then once I started working on Cyberpunk, I was so busy that I didn't really do any lighting outside of work, which I probably should do again now that Unreal 5 is out. I mean, out for testing.
it's interesting to see because I've lit this scene. I've lit both scenes myself as well, and it's quite interesting to see how you um, made your decisions and how you picked it. It's cool.
Yeah, also here I used a bit more like a neutral light. I think because it's a bit more grounded in reality. I've seen some very saturated versions of this, and I think it's all very subjective. But I always like the more filmic look that these scenes have. So I tried to go for a bit more of a neutral lighting setup. And this is also what I mean with like contrast. Because if I would light this wall here, this staircase would completely vanish. You wouldn't see what it is. So it's, and also here, the light's just pouring in from this like outdoor area, and I don't need to have an extra artificial light here because it would just create a flat sort of wall together with the entrance there.
It's good. It's
Yeah,
definitely.
very simple scenes. This one, I mean, yeah, I faked a couple of lights here and there, but nothing crazy.
Don't we all?
Yeah. Yeah, this one I would probably redo. It's a very tricky scene. I would definitely redo the colors. Go for something different. I don't know what I would do for colors yet, but it's something different than this for sure.
I'm not lit this in yet, actually.
It's tricky, this one. Yeah, I think because there's a lot going on in the environment, but it's also just a corridor. Yeah, you should give it a try. It's a cool one.
Well, actually, I'll show some of the relights I did of the same scene afterwards, just for fun,
Sure.
and just to see.
Yeah, and then this was a school project. We only had a couple days to do this. Again, very simple, natural light pouring in. Also, like this scene was made from scratch. Like everything, I made the materials in Substance Designer. Modeled some stuff really quickly, and yeah. And here, just messing around in Unreal. Just trying to get a realistic lighting setup done in like a day. Here, I probably wouldn't change much because it's already very simple, and I always really like the soft light when you bake light in Unreal. Yeah, maybe I would tweak the material a little bit.
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, it's a really nice. It's very interesting the light studies and how people are approaching it and doing it. That's for sure. It goes a long way to do it and get an idea of the color palette and the choices and everything.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's
So-
interesting to see how many people have really these exact scenes, and they're all different. And
yeah,
it's really
let's have a look then for comparison, so people who are looking can get.
cool. Do you have some comparisons of these? Because I haven't looked at the art station for a long time.
I only have one screen, so I'm just gonna click share, and you guys can see how it looks like for a few seconds. So this is the bunker that you showed. I have two.
Yeah.
This is me trying to test the different. This is me doing it in Davinci Resolve because I was doing an updated version. It says a year, but it's actually 3 years ago for me too. Just delete and upload again when I do some changes. This was the original, which was kind of more darker detective kind of feeling to it. And then this one was a bit color corrected and edited version. And I used, I don't know why, but I used, because it's out in space, so I figured I would go for purple. And then this is a like more subtle version, and this one is a more extreme version of it. And yeah, and then I went for a little bit more bluish light for this one. So yeah, it's different, completely different than what you had going on.
But I think that's a fun part about being a lighting artist, right? Like you can change the look of the scene so quickly just by changing a few lights here and there.
Yeah, and then it's this one. This one is super boring now that I have a look at it. Was really just trying to play with it. It says 2 years ago, but this was technically 3 years. You can even say version 2. So this was like basic lighting, really, just to get the reflections and everything. And I was playing a lot with the cameras, learning like different camera angles, storytelling with camera. And as you can see, I didn't really use a lot of lighting. It's just 2 lights, and which is doing all the work. So yeah, it was pretty straightforward, and I started looking into optimization and stuff like that at the time too. I do have another version of it. Let's go behind the scenes. You can see all of my lighting that I never keep around anymore. I had a more creative
That's
version. which is I preferred a bit more this creative version of doing it. So
I like
and
the green. It's cool.
yeah, I don't know why I was doing it, but I just like to be different when I do my lighting. And this is the same as yours in the sci-fi one, and I went with a very clear, crisp teal, orange type of color palette. One of the main differences I wanted to highlight, I wanted posters around, so I put them. It didn't bake correctly. Now that I look at it afterwards, it's one of the things that I never bothered to fix. But yeah, this is some of the same scenes done differently. The shadows are a little bit odd for that matter as well. But yeah, it's one of the more crispier scenes I have in my portfolio. I can't believe you haven't looked at my portfolio yet. How dare you?
No, I looked at your stuff. You did the Joker subway.
Yeah,
I still need to do that subway one. It's a really
was
cool scene.
it was really popular one. It's cool. I mean, it's good fun. But it's just fun to see people do different things basically. So